Part 9 of building the ultimate AI agent for my students, continuous learning and call summaries. We're going to skip number 8 because our student actually doesn't need this for his project, so it doesn't matter for what we're doing today. Let's go ahead and go over to N8N, and I'm going to show you what our workflow is going to look like by the end of this video. So this is what we had in the last part 7 for multilingual, and this is what we're going to have by the end of today, which is going to include things like call summaries and call evaluations. So really, as you can see, the only difference between the two is that we've added another router, and this router is going to be responsible for basically routing based on if it's a tool call or if it's a analysis based on the call. So call analysis just basically means, is it a call summary or is it a success evaluation? And then if it is a analysis of the call, then it's going to route the workflow over here, and we're just going to find the appointment, and then we're going to update the appointment with a call summary. And then we're going to update a Google Sheet or whatever CRM. You could change this to Airtable, whatever. I've already taught you how to do that. And basically, it's going to log the success evaluation into your CRM. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. It's pretty simple to understand. It's really just those 4 changes. It's you add the router and then you add a workflow for that router. Okay. So in order to do that, basically, we're going to have to go to Vapi. So this is what we have for our agent since last time. It's just going to be OpenAI, whatever model you want. And then, we've already done all these settings. Now scroll down to a section called analysis. Now here is where we can add information about the call summary, as you can see here, and the success evaluation. Let's start with the call summary. This is the prompt that's used to summarize the call. The output is stored in call analysis summary. You can also find the summary in the call logs page. So what we're going to do is we're going to open that up, and it's going to ask us for a prompt. Now, you would just need to write a basic prompt here, saying something like, you are an expert note taker for the Glow Clinic. Your task is to analyze the call's transcript and create a concise 2 to 3 sentence summary for the esthetician, right? And that's basically exactly what our student wanted. Is he said that he wanted a way to basically summarize the call in order so that the esthetician or dentist or whatever niche that you're in just basically has a good idea of what was actually said during that call. Things like, what are they interested in? Had they had the treatment before? Do they have any other questions? Are they concerned about pricing? Things like that. That's basically going to help you during your actual consultation. Okay, and then the other settings, we can just leave them as default because they don't really matter that much. Okay. And by the way, you can get this from my Skool community. I've already created all these files. Let's see here. So yeah, like you can see, I've already created those files. It's going to be called call summary prompt. Okay. And I also have one called success evaluation prompt, right? So you just copy it and then go over here. The next dropdown is going to be called success evaluation. Evaluate if your call was successful. You can use rubric standalone or in combination with success evaluation prompt. If both are provided, they are concatenated into appropriate instructions. Go ahead and click on that. And it's going to ask for another prompt. And you would just say something like, you are an expert AI call analyst. Your task is to evaluate the call success based on the assistant's objectives by analyzing the entire transcript and the system prompts logic. And so really the point of this is that we're trying to see which parts of the call succeeded and which parts failed. And the reason why we were doing that is if we take 10 calls or however many, let's just take, say 10 calls, for example, and then 9 of those calls succeeded, but then 1 of them failed, then we have a good idea of like which one's working and which one's not, right? Or if we say we take 100 calls and then 80 of them succeed, but 20 of them fail for, let's say, like rescheduling an appointment, then we know that maybe something's wrong with rescheduling an appointment, right? And that tells us that we need to go back and focus on that for improving for the future, right? So it basically just gives us a lot of data to tell us what we need to focus on to improve our process. So I just basically written this saying like, okay, well, here are some tools that we use, such as lookup client, qualifying, all this kind of stuff. If it succeeds, then go ahead and log it as success. But if it fails, log it as failure or not applicable. Sometimes you don't need to call a tool. So, it doesn't need to succeed every time if you're not using it, right? So really it's just tracking the success and the failure. And then once you have data on the failure, you know which one to focus on. All right. and then set the success evaluation rubric to automatic. That's perfect. And then finally, in order to make sure that the data is actually sent over to our end-to-end workflow, you need to go down to this messaging section. So as you remember, we use server URLs or webhook URLs in order to pass information from one program to another. So this webhook URL is literally the same exact one that we've been using for our tool calls. So you just either grab that from our tool call or grab it from end-to-end and then just paste it in here. So it's literally the exact same idea. So go ahead and scroll down. The default, it's going to give you lots of information here. So there's like, let's see, I'll just show you real quick. It pretty much defaults to all its information. If you activate all of this, your workflow is going to get really cluttered really fast. So what I like to do is uncheck everything and only enable end of call report and tool calls. Because if you think about it, we're only trying to track our tool calls. And now that we've added the end of call report for the things like the call analysis, then basically that's going to be the two things that we're going to log. I've tried this. Basically, if you turn on conversation update, it'll literally do like 4 executions for every single like turn of the conversation. And then it's just too much clutter. So that looks like everything. Then you just go up here and hit publish to save that. So let's go ahead and go back to our end-to-end workflow to talk about basically how to log things into our CRM. So let's go over here. The first thing that's going to happen is it's going to find the event that's basically associated with the phone number of the caller. So that was pretty simple. We've already done this in previous parts, but again, it's just grabbing the customer's phone number. After that, it's going to update the Google Calendar summary using more information. So if we open this up, it's basically adding this information, which is going to be the call analysis summary at the bottom, right? So it's just saying call summary, and it's just appending it to the bottom of the existing call summary. Okay. And finally, we need to add a Google Sheet node that's basically going to add the information to a new Google Sheet. So let's go ahead and open that up, see what that looks like. So as you can see, we're using our old sheet or our old document called Clinic Contacts, but we're going to create a new sheet called Call Evaluations. So I'm going to go over here. I've already created it. So basically this is Clinic Contacts. And then if you go down here, just hit plus, and then you could add a new sheet. You can call it whatever you want, but for this example, I've called it Call Evaluation. So click on that and then just create a column. Again, you can call this whatever you want. I've named it Call Evaluations. And the point here is whenever a call has been done, we're trying to log the call here so that eventually, we're going to have like, let's say like 30. And then when we have enough information, we can just take all the information, put it into an AI like ChatGPT or whatever, and just ask it to do some analysis, right? So you can say like, okay, well, which ones succeeded and which ones have the highest success rate? Which one has the highest failure rate? And based on that information, which one should I focus on in order to prioritize my effort in improving my process, something like that, okay? All right, so now that that's done, the last thing that there is to do is to go back over to Vapi and call our agent. So let's just go over real quick, just to make sure everything is updated correctly. So go to our tools, just make sure that the URLs are all correct. That looks good. Go to phone numbers, scroll down to assistant, just make sure that it's assigned to the phone number.
Thank you for calling the Glow Clinic. This is Chloe. How may I help you today?
I would like to book an appointment.
I'd be happy to help you get started. To begin, what treatment are you interested in today?
I am interested in getting Botox.
Okay, thank you. And have you had to take the treatment before?
No, I have not.
Perfect. Thank you for that information. The next step is to schedule a complimentary consultation with one of our specialists. Is that something you'd be open to?
Yes.
Of course. Let's find a time that works for you. What day would work best for you to come in?
Can we do Wednesday of this week?
I have a few times available on Wednesday, August 20th. We have 8 a.m., 10 a.m., and 11:30 a.m. Would any of those work for you?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do 8 a.m. on Wednesday.
Great. May I have your full name to book the consultation appointment?
Yeah, my name is Anthony Ton, Ton.
Okay, Anthony Ton, just to confirm, I have you down for a consultation on Wednesday, August 20th at 8 a.m. Is that all correct?
That is correct.
Excellent. Your consultation appointment for Botox is now booked for Wednesday, August 20th at 8 a.m. If you need any further assistance, please don't hesitate to call us. Have a wonderful day.
All right,
Bye bye.
bye-bye. All right, so as you can see, it was able to automatically book that appointment, got my name, my phone number correct. And by the way, I also removed the section about qualification, things like that, like treatment, interest, and had before, because the point is we're going to append the summary at the end of this automatically. So let's go ahead and first of all, check the success that it updated automatically. And as you can see, it did update automatically. So it's saying that the overall call outcome was appointment was booked. It says that this was a success, 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 success. And reschedule appointment was not used, cancel appointment was not used, and human handoff was not used. So that's absolutely perfect, right? And so as I was saying earlier, all that you would do is you would just make a bunch of calls, and then you would just take all the information, copy it, put it into AI like ChatGPT, and be like, okay, well, do some data analysis on this, figure out which ones failed the most, and that's going to be what you're going to focus on. Okay. And then let's go to sheet 1 just to make sure that it updated correctly. And yes, it did look like it updated correctly. So that is perfect. Now, we need to go back over to, I believe, our Google Calendar to see that it appended the information automatically. And yes, it did. As you can see, it says, new client, Anthony Ton, is interested in Botox and he has not had this treatment before. He has booked a complimentary consultation for Wednesday, August 20th at 8 a.m. No other specific concerns or services were mentioned, okay? And again, just to show you how exactly that works is if you go back to MASTERCLASS. So this is basically what is doing that, right? So this node right here is going to grab the event after it gets booked. So after it got booked, it had my name and my phone number, and that was it, right? After it got booked, it's going to find that, and then it's going to update it, append it with the summary that says, you know, new client, Anthony Ton, he's interested in getting Botox. That's where that's going to go. And then finally, we're going to use our Google Sheet node, which is going to add the row that is basically saying the success evaluation that you saw earlier. It was like outcome is appointment booked and everything was a success. Okay. So that is basically it. Today, you have learned how to implement machine learning and also call summaries so that you can tell your estheticians what exactly went on during that conversation. And you can identify your bottlenecks to see which ones that you should prioritize when you're trying to improve your agents. So that was very cool. Now, if we go back over to our lessons over here, I actually added number 10. And so I'm just going to do a final test, just going through everything, make sure that everything's perfect so that it's ready for production. And then I'll also show you like things like an SOP. I'm going to create an SOP that you can, it's just step by step. You'll be able to basically just go line by line and set this up for actual deploying for your clients. So that's going to be extremely exciting. Again, if you want those files, go ahead and go over to my Skool community, go over to community, click on YouTube, and I'm going to make a post that contains all those files, right? So it's going to be the assistant prompts, things like the summary, call summary prompts, the success evaluation prompts, the MASTERCLASS workflow, everything's going to be in there. And if you have any questions, head over to the one-on-one support tab. You can ask me any question and I'll help you out because I want to make sure that you guys don't get stuck. Okay. So now if you enjoyed that video, make sure to subscribe and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.